Hey there, this is the One Boom, and there's been a lot of talk and debate recently about whether or not free content is worse than the paid DLCs that we were used to, the map packs and DLC packs we were used to back in the day, back in the 360 era, early Xbox One, PS4 era. I'm sorry to inform you the PS3 didn't exist. What does exist on this channel, though, is live streams, and if you guys want to watch me live and argue with me and pick on me and, I don't know, whatever the things you do in live chats, if you want to do those things to me, hit the bell icon to get notified when I go live. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty recently, and it'd be more fun if you were watching. It seems like the largest topic surrounding FPS games right now is lack of content. Where's our maps, where's our weapons, where's our seasons, where's our hype? And I fully agree with all those complaints. It never feels like there's quite enough build-up, quite enough hype. It never feels like there's quite enough content in these DLCs that come out. Sorry, these seasons that come out. Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield have been struggling heavily with matching the expectations that players have. So, naturally, people look back to the past and ask themselves, was this better? And back in the day, you used to buy a $50 season pass or $15 individual map packs, specifically speaking about Call of Duty. And then during the glory days, we'll just focus on the glory days here, you would get 4 maps and a zombies or extinction experience or a spec ops experience. The DLCs felt very hearty, and one of the reasons they felt hearty is that when they'd come out, they'd usually get their own playlist, and that meant that you basically had a whole new version of the game to play. It's kind of hard to describe to people now, but back in the day, like during a Black Ops 2 or Modern Warfare 3 DLC, hopping into that DLC playlist, you were playing a different game every match for a while. Like, it was just entirely new locations with maybe a remix or remade map, snuck in there. And remade maps had a lot more energy behind them back then. They would fully redo the aesthetic. They would, actually change the feel and tone of the map. Like Firing Range from Black Ops 1, when it was remade in Black Ops 2, it was a movie studio, and everything that was practical military equipment turned into movie set stuff, and it's still one of my favorite versions of any map ever. But these maps would not just have remakes and new maps in them, some of these new maps would have gimmicks, stage hazards, or interactable environments, or opening and closing doors. They would add things that weren't in other maps. Like Black Ops 1 is famous for adding a DLC map that had a zipline that was working on it, and we have never seen that since. We've seen other things, like how Advanced Warfare had grappling hooks tied behind their DLC packs, and every Call of Duty Ghosts DLC map had some new moving part or some new thing you could interact with, or a map-specific streak that was unique to that DLC map. Not to mention, it was a huge deal when Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts started introducing DLC guns. We got the Maverick and the Ripper in Ghosts and the Peacekeeper in Black Ops 2. This was before the era of supply drops and everything, so it's a pretty big deal. And I think the tone surrounding a DLC pack is just different. You can literally stay up all night waiting for the update to go live, and you know that when the update goes live, you have a massive chunk of new content to go through, a new zombies map to explore, 4 new multiplayer maps to learn. And for the next few weeks, it felt like playing a new game. And then when you go from the DLC playlist back to the standard playlist, the old game feels refreshing because you've been in the DLC playlist for so long. Because there's enough content in that DLC playlist to keep you playing for so long. I understand looking back on these fondly, because I look back on them fondly. I miss them dearly, but they had a problem. They would split up the player base and increase matchmaking times and reduce matchmaking quality. And then once the game is out of its life cycle and less people are buying the DLCs, in fact no one's buying the DLCs, it's hard to find matches in the DLCs you paid for, or it's hard to find games in the standard game because everyone's on the DLCs. And if somebody bought 2 DLCs but not a 3rd DLC or a 4th DLC, I had a friend that only had for Black Ops 2, he had DLC 1, 2, and 4, but not 3, so matchmaking with him was actually quite a bit of a hassle. DLC packs were something that a DLC purchaser could look forward to and enjoy, and I do believe they were more enjoyable to the people that were buying them than seasons are now to the rest of the community. But the thing is, the entire community can take part in a modern Call of Duty season all at once. Everybody can start grinding the battle pass at the same exact minute. Everyone can start playing on the new maps in the same exact day. The problem is there's only 1 or 2 new maps, and so that doesn't really feel like a new game. It doesn't really feel like an expansion pack. It really more so just feels like stuff that maybe could have been included at launch. And that's the issue I think people are having. It's not just that these games have lackluster seasons compared to the paid DLC packs, it's that the games have lackluster launches. I mean, at least we have Vanguard to prove that, we can still get a modern Call of Duty with a ton of multiplayer content at launch. Vanguard's an interesting case because I didn't need Season 1 and 2 to be very big because there was still so much launch content I was slogging through and so many maps that I wasn't even seeing as much as I'd like to see of them because there were so many maps in the rotation and so many different combat pacing things. Like, it was hard to play the exact map you wanted because, again, it was almost an overwhelming amount of content. So Season 1 and 2 could be kind of small because the game already was a lot. But then Modern Warfare 2 has a lackluster, unfocused launch that has, DMZ and Battle Royale, and it has Ground War and Invasion and multiplayer all at once, and it's a lot. It's too much. On top of that, having Spec Ops launch on the same day, which isn't huge because the Spec Ops is small, but I mean, still, it was a lot to launch on one day. But because it was unfocused, large chunks of the player base felt just let down because they were getting scraps, while another part of the player base seemed to be eating a little bit better. So having 2 lackluster seasons in a row after a lackluster launch, that's gonna rub people worse than 2 lackluster seasons after an amazing launch, or 2 really good seasons after a lackluster launch. You have to have it balanced some way. You can't have a lackluster launch and lackluster opening seasons. Fucking pick a struggle. I would say that DLC packs, as they used to be, were really good for the people that could afford and wanted to buy DLC packs. But free seasons are pretty darn good for the entire community all at once. Now, when I ask my friends to buy Modern Warfare 2, I'm not gonna have them buy Modern Warfare 2 plus $30 worth of DLC packs. They just buy the game and they get all of what came in Season 1 and 2, minus some cosmetics, when they install and update the game. Like, that's a lot. The game is continuously getting bigger over time and actually gaining value over time. No purchase necessary. But there is a solution that I think could make everybody happy, and I don't think anybody wants to hear it, but look, if you want a game to have not just a premium release, but then a premium set of post-launch content, you have to look back at what a season pass for something like Black Ops 2 would have cost, $50. So $50 plus 60, that's 110 bucks. But because that season pass was optional and a lot of people just opted to buy the base game, guess what happened? Of course, you know what happened. People got their player bases split up and their matchmaking times got increased and matchmaking quality went down, and the game is actually aged worse and is less preservable now because of those DLCs. Solution? Let's raise the price of games. If you want a premium post-launch and a premium launch, I think Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield should be $100 games at launch.
This man is overgasped!
And I'm not that far off anyway. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 is a $70 game, and let's say you bought Season 1's Battle Pass, that's $80. If there was a $15 map pack for Season 1, you would have spent $85. I mean, if games are gonna raise the price anyway and inflation's a bitch, how about developers charge us, publishers charge us, $100 at launch? That way they can justify it as we are paying $60 for the game and $40 for a season pass, or $50 for the game and $50 for a season pass. Yeah, the barrier for entry is $100, but the developers and publishers can justify putting more into the post-launch content because you essentially paid for it all up front. You didn't buy a game, you bought a whole season's worth of content. But you're forced to buy it, okay? Unless the game's on sale, you have to spend $100 to get the whole package. Plus store bundles, plus battle passes that are full of cosmetics, I think this would be a fine addition. In Infinite Warfare, $100 got you the game, Modern Warfare Remastered, and the Season Pass, and the Season Pass gave you immediate access to every new base weapon that was added on day 1. So give me a real reason why this doesn't work. Imagine if that's what Modern Warfare 2 was, and instead of Season 1 being lackluster, we would have gotten 4 multiplayer maps, 2 Spec Ops missions, and a bunch of new, frivolous things like game modes, operators, Warzone tweaks, and stuff like that. Plus a battle pass, plus a bunch of store bundles if you want to continue to support them, or, just make your guy look cool, I don't know. And what's wrong with that? Then you would have had a big, meaty season, and then Season 2 comes out, and it's the same thing. And you just get instant access to the M13B, or you get instant access to the ISO Hemlock. You bought the glued together season pass game combo that everybody has to buy, and then if Call of Duty is doing what it says it's going to be doing, or what the rumors are, what the leaks are, what the very, 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 very weighted leaks are saying, that Sledgehammer is currently working on Modern Warfare 2.5. It's a full-blown sequel with its own campaign, its own stuff, its own release, but it's going to fully integrate with Modern Warfare 2 currently, and I would actually love this release cycle for Call of Duty. If you get, let's say, Black Ops, and then the next year you get Black Ops .5, and it is a whole new game that integrates with the last game, just making like a super game, a bigger game. So then every year you're alternating between buying the $100 premium game and then the $60 major, standalone expansion. And that means they've gotten $160 out of you for the game plus its standalone expansion, plus all of the content that's going to be releasing across both of those games. Then they have their cosmetic battle passes and bundles. It could work great. They would make a huge profit and everybody could get what they want. A lot of content, meaty, worthwhile, worth waiting for, worth staying up late for content. No more of this drip-fed, this should have been here at launch content. Instead, massive DLCs that you pay for upfront because you're such a fan of paying for more content. Younger players or players on a budget in general can wait for a sale, right? Like, that's how this works. The player base isn't split up because, well, everybody's forced to partake of the post-launch content at the launch of the game. Everybody would be funding the post-launch of the game from the start, meaning that at least the first 3 seasons should be massive bouts of content that are, again, worth staying up late and waiting for. Talking 4 maps all at once in their own playlist, and higher quality maps with unique gimmicks and aesthetics that we don't get to see that often. There wasn't just more content back then, there was a higher quality to it, but we had to pay out the nose for it. I'm willing to pay out the nose again, just as long as everybody is on the same page and nobody's getting left behind. So that's really the whole point of this video. I am okay with paying out the nose up front for a ton of content throughout the year, and I'm okay spending $60 the next year for a standalone full game expansion to the game I bought the year prior. I am absolutely okay with that concept. As long as nobody's left behind, I'm good, I'm golden. The other solution is that developers just put premium amounts of love into free seasons, but the likelihood of that happening is pretty damn low. If Call of Duty was a multiplayer only shooter, I think I'd be okay with it just being $30 at launch with a $30 season pass if you want it. So for $60 you get the full package, but it's also, sort of has a budget release if you just want the base game. But I like that Call of Duty is a big premium title with Spec Ops and a campaign, or zombies and multiplayer, and then ground war and invasion. I like that Call of Duty is big. It has a lot going for it. So keep that up, but just don't leave anyone behind. That's the main point of this video. And I've rambled for like almost 13 minutes on this subject. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. I will see you when I see you. Goodbye, I guess. It's kind of a messy video. I might not even upload this. If you're watching this right now and you're still watching to this point, comment, "You're a silly dunce." You're a silly dunce. Put that in your comment and I'll know that not only did you watch this video, that you watched till this point in the video, which potentially makes you the silly dunce, but I'm okay with it. You're still watching. That's viewer retention right there, buddy. That's a sign that I know what I'm doing, that I've honed my skills as a content creator. Okay, now it's creepy. Now you can go.